Hello there folks, welcome back to the Chap's Guide. My name is Ash and I am your host on this journey through men's style, self-development and personal grooming. I am here to ease your journey to Chap Nirvana from whichever starting point that you are beginning at. Now today I'm going to talk about a subject which often crosses my mind when I get dressed for an occasion, because in the realm of dressing well, always trying to look your best, being the best dressed man in any room, there comes a point where you think, am I tipping the balance here, becoming too fussy? Am I being overly concerned or obsessed about the way I dress? Because yes, it's true, caring about the way that you dress is important. But it's a merry dance, isn't it? Nobody wants to be clothing obsessed or too fussy about their appearance, because it can take the joy out of it for you as somebody who enjoys getting dressed up if you're, becoming far too concerned with the way that you look. You just want to present that polished appearance to the world and not let it take over your life. That's kind of the tightrope that I like to walk. So today, to help you in your own journey, maybe you are wondering, am I too fussy about the way that I dress? Well, I've got a few questions for you today that you can pose to yourself. And maybe at the end, dependent upon the answers that you give, you can decide whether perhaps you are a little too fussy or maybe you're just fine. And you can take actions depending on where those answers end up. Now, the first question I want you to ask yourself and be honest with the answer is, does it take me an excessively long period of time to get ready before any situation? Consider how much time you actually spend choosing your clothing, grooming yourself, preening yourself, changing your mind because the tie isn't the right color, the pocket square doesn't look right, you never quite get the pocket square perfect, and you spend a lot of time just getting ready even before you leave the house. Now, if this process of getting ready takes a disproportionately long amount of time in comparison to the event that you're going to, maybe you're just going to the pub to meet some friends, maybe you're just slipping out to do some shopping or to go and buy something from a store. If you are spending an enormous amount of time getting ready, maybe we have crossed the threshold into being too fussy, to be obsessed with the way that we dress. And an even greater sort of yardstick to measure yourself by if you happen to be married. If you're married and you're getting ready to go out to an event with your lady wife or your significant other, whomever they may be, and they aren't taking as long as you to get dressed, maybe we are definitely in the realms of being a little too fussy. Because my yardstick has always been, if my wife takes less time than I to get ready with all of the things that she does to preen herself and make herself look beautiful, maybe I am too fussy. Are you? And as I said, gentlemen, be honest, tell the truth now. Now, my next question for you is this. Ask yourself, do I often change my outfits multiple times because something is imperfect in my eyes, in my clothing? Take a moment and reflect now, folks. Before you go out, even if it's one of those minor daily chores, let alone an evening out where you're meeting people and you seek to impress them by the way that you dress, do you find yourself changing your clothes multiple times? Do you keep putting a different shirt on? Do you keep changing your trousers because of some terribly minor imperfection? Maybe there are just a few wrinkles on your waistcoat or on your shirt. Maybe there's some color mismatches or some other tiny imperfection, which almost certainly nobody else would notice at all. But you, with your hyper-critical eye about the way that you dress, you've just got to change it, because all night, if you went out dressed like that, you would feel as if something was wrong, as if everybody was looking at you, as if it would ruin your evening. Well, if that's the case, I'm sorry to tell you, you may be a little bit too fussy about the way that you dress. Okay, we're moving along. So my next question is this: do I feel excessively anxious or uncomfortable if my clothing plans don't go exactly as I envisioned them? So maybe, I go out and it's a warm day and I find myself having to remove a jacket or alter the way that I'm dressed in some way to accommodate the environmental characteristics that I've encountered. Maybe it's raining. So, instead of planning this in advance and taking my nice trench coat with me, I find myself stuck out in the rain, and in the back of my car, I know I've got an old Barbour jacket, which I keep for such occasions where I might get caught in a rainstorm when I'm with my car. So I end up having to put that Barbour jacket over my nice suit. And for me, that suit and that jacket are incongruous. Their styles should never match. And for the rest of the day, I feel uncomfortable. It just makes me feel awful because I'm not dressed in exactly the same way as I planned when I set out that morning. Now, in a minor way, I recall an event a little over a year ago, nearly 2 years ago, I think, where I went to a Remembrance Day parade with my good lady wife, Rachel. And whilst we were standing at the memorial service, my wife stepped back and one of her high heels hit the toe cap of my highly mirror-shined black cap toe Oxford. And it devastated the mirror shine. There was like a bullet hole in it. It looked awful. Truth is, I was able to fix it fairly easily afterwards. I did a video on that actually. But for the rest of that day, when I was out and about with folks, with that damage to my mirror shine, I felt as if the spotlight was on me and I looked awful. Simply because this tiny imperfection in my outfit had happened, an accident, nobody's fault. But it kinda ruined my day. It's all I can think about for the rest of that day. And the truth is, I was far too fussy. Nobody cared, nobody saw it, didn't matter a thing. But for me, it made me become a little obsessed with certainly the shine on my shoes. And if you get instances like that, where you have to change your clothing sort of on the hop because of a situation which unfolds in front of you, and it really bothers you to the extent that it's all you can think about, my friend, you may be a bit too fussy about the way that you dress. Now, the next question, which I ask you to pose yourself in this journey of discovering if you're a little bit too fussy as well, is: do I receive many compliments or reactions about my attention to detail in my clothing? Because if you get many compliments, think about the feedback that you get from people as you go about life. People might come up to you and say, "Wow, I love the shine on your shoes. I love the way you folded your pocket square. Your tie knot is perfection." And if you get compliments like that, particularly from other intentionally well-dressed men, so people who are clearly gentlemen who pay attention to the way they dress, and you're getting lots of compliments from people, maybe even strangers, not just family and friends, but people who pass you in the street. If they say to you, "Wow, I love the way you're dressed, sir. Great shoes, sir. Love the overcoat, sir. Nice hat, sir." You're getting all of these compliments. And if they're complimenting you on your meticulousness or your perfectionism in the way that you dress, maybe they're telling you something. Maybe they're telling you that your attention to detail has taken such a prominent part in your clothing ensemble that it is standing out like a sore thumb. That strangers are saying to you, even well-dressed people, "That looks amazing, that looks fantastic." If you're getting that all the time, yes, it's a compliment. But secondly, it could be an indication that your drive for perfectionism is overwhelming your interest in dressing well. And that can take away some of the pleasure of the experience for you. Just think about that feedback that you receive. Do people come up to you in the street and just pass those comments to you? Does it take you by surprise, or do you expect it? If you're getting a lot of compliments like that, again, could be too fussy, sir. Now, my final question that I'd like you to ask yourself is this: do I prioritize my clothing quality or appearance over other elements of my life? Because let's think about this for a moment, right? If you spend a significant amount of time thinking about your clothing, buying your clothing, planning your clothing, researching your clothing, and then when you get that clothing, you have it tailored to perfection. You spend hours ironing it. You pack it away in the wardrobe in little plastic containers. Everything is directed at your appearance. And in so doing, you overlook other elements of your life. Maybe you should be investing more of that time in hobbies, in activities with friends, building bonds, furthering relationships. Maybe even you'll let your clothing decisions impact other elements of your life. Things like, well, you know, I could have taken a different career path, but I didn't want to spend all day wearing overalls working as a mechanic, so I decided to go and work in an office where I knew I could indulge in my joy of dressing smartly every day, even though being an engineer or a mechanic may suit your characteristics a little better, your skill set. If you make decisions, you treat clothing as something to make decisions around, maybe, folks, we are just that little bit too fussy, and we're allowing clothing to wear us and not us wear the clothing. Okay, folks, so those were the 5 questions that I suggest that you pose yourself to find out whether you are a little too fussy. Because to be honest, whilst there is absolutely nothing wrong, and I do not detract from those of us who enjoy being intentionally well-dressed men, we can leverage clothing to get the best outcomes in our lives if we use it to positive effect. However, if you find yourself becoming anxious or stressed before you go out to an evening, meeting up with friends or going to a dinner party because something doesn't feel right, you know, the sleeve of your jacket is 2 millimeters too long, the crease in your trousers is slightly left of center, your shoe polish is not perfect. If these things are holding you back from enjoying yourself, well, that's where we've crossed the line into obsession, becoming too fussy. And I would remind you, all right, sometimes good enough is good enough, right? Do not let perfection be the enemy of good enough, because you'll never achieve perfection. You'll never look absolutely perfect. You're never exactly how you may envisage in your mind. Just look your best, that's all you can be. Remember, being an intentionally well-dressed man, being, you know, a person who strides through life putting his best foot forward and allowing his clothes to help him to achieve that, that's great. But it's not really about the clothes. It is about the confidence of the person wearing the clothes, which makes most of the difference. Your clothes are merely the veneer. It is the man within that makes the difference. So do not spend an excessive amount of time on your clothing. Invest that time in you. Broaden your horizons. Read more. Have hobbies. Go out and meet new people. That is what will make you the best version of yourself, not the clothing that you put on your body. So, folks, there we go. Hope it's been helpful. If it has, like the video, subscribe for more, drop me a question. Do so by sending me an email or drop it into the comments. You can support the channel by buying me a coffee, one-off thing, or even become a member of the Chap's Guide family. Become a patron. If you're a patron, you will benefit from the additional video content that I make each and every week. And to find out how to become involved with that, all the links are in the show notes below. So until the next time, take care. Don't be too fussy, folks. Good enough is good enough. And I'll see you again very soon.